without good vegetable going along with the food, the health is not going to be good. So let's spend more time on the vegetables. Later, we will come to the production of even small animals and so on. Let's deal with the production of okra. Okra. Now, the scientific name for okra is abelmescus. Abelmescus, A-B-E-L, Abel. Then M-E-S-C-H-U-S. Abelmescus. The second name is esculentus. Esculentus, E-S-C-U-L-E-N-T-U-S. The meaning of esculentus is edible, palatable. It belongs to a family called Malvaceae. Malvaceae, M-A-L-V-E, sorry, M-A-L-V-A-C-E-A-E. Malvaceae. And that family has a number of plants that produce vegetables in the tropics. I think we don't need to put the picture of okra on the platform because it's very common. Is there anybody listening who doesn't know okra? Anybody? Okay. Okra is very familiar. Now, there are many varieties. There are those that produce very long finger-like fruits, and there are those that produce very short fruits. But all the fruits are generally green. When you cut them, they are mucilaginous. And the mucilage in it is very medicinal. It is particularly good for both the kidneys and the liver. It serves as a lubricant for the body. It is useful for kidney stones, gallbladder stones. This fruit is also good for fertility. Fertility, particularly in men. Okra is good for constipation. It is very rich in antioxidants. Vitamin C and vitamin A. It is fairly easy to grow, but the dry seeds should be soaked in water overnight for the tester to absorb enough water to enhance rapid germination. In many places, the tender leaves are also edible. In some parts of Nigeria, particularly, those tender leaves are very useful for women who have just delivered. It helps them to recuperate very easily. They usually cook it with melon, and they call it ilasa. When harvesting is done at the right time, new flowers can develop, so the harvesting can continue for quite some time before the plant dies out. It is good to harvest the fruit when it is fairly young and not too old. If you harvest it too old, it becomes fibrous and therefore not palatable. But for you to get seeds for the next season, you should allow a few to grow to produce fruits that will mature completely and dry on the plant. The capsules that are formed can be preserved and the dry seeds brought out when it's time for planting. Okra can tolerate loamy soils that are easily penetrated by water. Soils rich in nitrogen and potassium are necessary for growth. So using manure or compost is very important. Now it can be grown directly on land, or it can be grown in bags, as we have learned in the past. If they are planted fairly close together, say a distance of 1 foot or at most 1.5 feet apart, the broad leaves spread in such a way that weeds can be controlled by the foliage itself. There is another member of this Malvaceae family But I think we have done that one already. Hibiscus subdarifa. Is that right? Hello?
I think so. Is that the one that is used for Sobo?
Yeah, correct.
We
Russell.
have, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. We did last week, I think.
Yeah, we did.
Yes, sir.
Then last week we did fluted pumpkin. Let's consider some leguminous plants that are also vegetables. Leguminous plants that are vegetables. Members of the beans family. Now, generally speaking, almost all of the different varieties of beans have their leaves also palatable as vegetables. We are going to mention some specific ones. The first one is the pigeon pea. Pigeon pea. The scientific name for pigeon pea is Cajanus cajan. Cajanus cajan. Cajanus. Then the second name of Cajan. Cajanus cajan. Can somebody quickly Google the image of Cajanus cajan on the platform? Choose an image that has both the leaves and the fruits. It's an important hardy plant we must know and grow around the house. Cajanus cajan. Somebody got it? The Yorubas call it feregede. Feregede. Some people call it otili. Pigeon pea. The fruit pod has only about 4 or 5 seeds inside the pod. And the seeds are very, very hard when mature. Nobody got it?
I got an image, sir. Let me see if I can share that. Is this it?
Well,
Can
it's
you see?
not showing yet.
It's not
Yeah,
showing.
yeah. Can you just enlarge one of them? Just enlarge one of them. Click on one of those many things.
It's opening. One of them is opening.
Correct. Uh, yeah, the fruit is showing very well, but not the leaves. Anyway,
What about this?
that's good. That's good. Do we all know it?
There are several. These are the pots.
Yeah. Now, it is a shrub. It can grow to a height of about even 4 feet. You can see this this is very good, showing the leaves and the flowers. Now, both the fruit and the leaves are edible. The fruit is edible completely when it is green, tender, and young. But when the fruit is ripe, it splits. The pod splits, and the hard seeds are the things that can be eaten. Those hard seeds, beans, are hard to boil. You have to cook for a long time before it is eaten. But it's one of the most nutritious beans in the tropical world. I highlighted this because both the leaves and the beans are extremely important for sickle cell disease. Sickle cell anemia, sickle cell disease. When people who are sicklers eat parts of this particular plant, there are phytochemicals in the plants that help to normalize the size, the shape of the red blood corpuscles, transforming them from sickle to spherical, and therefore increasing the surface area for higher level of absorption of oxygen, so that you have enough oxyhemoglobin for the patient. I have used it for many years in treating sickle cellers. Anyway, it goes in combination with other things for effective treatment or management of the disease. Another important reason for highlighting it is that wherever you grow it, you control weeds because the branches spread out very well to form a canopy. And any other weed on the farm will naturally die. I have even used it to control spear grass, which even chemicals cannot control. Spear grass is Imperata cylindrica, that terrible stubborn grass that grows like rice in an open land. Nobody can plant anything where there is spear grass. But if you scatter the seeds of Cajanus inside, the spear grass, and those seeds germinate. They grow very fast to overshadow the spear grass right to the roots until the spear grass dies out. So it's good for weed control effectively. Not only that, because it is a leguminous plant, it is effective in fixing nitrogen into the soil for other crops that need nitrogen to make use of it. That's Cajanus cajan. Other species of the beans family, one very common one, particularly in Africa and West Africa, is the cowpea. The normal cowpea, which is the general thing known as beans in many places in Africa. The beans we use for moi moi, akara, and other things. Kose in Ghana. The scientific name for cowpea is Vigna, V-I-G-N-A. V-I-G-N-A. The second name is unguiculata, U-N-G-U-I, ungui, U-N-G-U-I, C-U-L-A-T-A, Vigna unguiculata. For the sake of a few who may not know it, can we Google it and display it? Cowpea is a staple beans in the tropics all around the world. It's one of the beans with the longest pods. One pod can contain even up to about 15 seeds. When the long pods are green, they can be eaten even as vegetables straight. But usually we allow the pods to dry, and it's only the seeds that are eaten then. But the young leaves are also quite suitable as cooked greens, the tender young leaves. Some of the reasons why we are studying these leguminous beans is because of the many things they do. You remember the things I said about Cajanus? The same applies to Vigna unguiculata. It's a nitrogen fixer. So whilst you are developing it as a crop, it is fixing nitrogen for the soil. This particular one creeps, so it's a weed controller too. And then you are going to have the advantage of eating both the pod, the seed, and the tender leaves. So it is multi-purpose. The leaves are very medicinal too. Thank you for displaying it. It's very, very common. Another fairly common beans in the tropic is what we call garden pea. Garden pea. But garden pea grows even better in the temperate land, although it can grow in the tropics too. The scientific name for it is Pisum, Pisum, Pisum sativum, 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 Pisum sativum. The green immature seeds are edible, just as the dried seeds themselves are also edible. If it's going to be grown in the tropics, it can only grow very well in cooler places in the tropics. Places like Plateau, Jos, places like Kwewu Mountains in Ghana, places like Late in Ghana. Thank you. Those are the beans there. Pisum sativum. Let's look at another one. There's one of the beans, common beans, called a snap bean. Snap bean, SNAP. Snap bean. Phaseolus. Phaseolus vulgaris. Phaseolus. Phaseolus. The second name is vulgaris. Vulgaris. Phaseolus vulgaris. Snap bean. This one is usually grown for its edible immature pods or the dried seeds. One advantage with this one is that the beans grow very rapidly and provide a crop within a very short time. Although it is mainly grown for the seeds, the young leaves are also edible. We should not forget to mention one type of beans that has become very popular in the tropics, and that is soya beans. Soya beans. The scientific name for soya beans is glycine, 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 and the second name is max, MAX, glycine max, soybean. It is becoming very popular in the tropics. It grows more naturally in temperate lands, but there are varieties that have been developed suitable for the tropics. And they grow very fast, they grow very well. Can we see? Yeah. Well, those are the beans, but it's good for us to see the plant too. It's a small plant. It grows very well in the open and doesn't take a long time for it to fructify. Now, all these beans, and particularly the soybean, are very rich in very many important amino acids for the body's health. All the beans are rich in proteins and in some useful oils. So we cannot do without the beans as vegetables in our diet. I re-emphasize that we have a lot of advantages from them because the green pods, the mature seeds, and the tender leaves are all edible. And that is very good for the poor farmer. Another advantage is that every one of them is a nitrogen fixer that will make the soil fertile. And many of them that creep control weeds for us. So for those advantages, it is good to incorporate this in our backyard garden or wherever we are planting. Please, I forgot to mention about okra that when it is harvested and it is plentiful and we want to preserve it, it is easy to slice the fruits into tiny, tiny cylindrical bits and sun dry them. When we sun dry them and preserve them, we can use the dried fruit throughout the year. The Yorubas call it orunla. It is very delicious and still maintains the riches in itself. I believe that many other countries will know how to preserve the okra. The leaves also can be preserved. The leaves can be dried, pulverized, and used later. Another vegetable that grows very well in the tropics is carrot. Carrot. One can plant a few stands of carrot at the backyard or even in bags or in pots. Generally speaking, people eat the carrot, the root, the swollen root, and discard the leaves. But you need to know that the leaves of carrots are also very rich. They are perfectly edible and they have their distinct flavor. They can give a really good change in our diet. Even those leaves can be eaten raw or steamed. But the leaves should be fairly mature before it is eaten, because some of the young leaves can cause dermatitis, some skin rashes in people who are very sensitive. Some varieties do better in cooler places, places with higher elevation. Again, places like the plateau in Nigeria. It may surprise us to note that even the leaves of potato can be eaten as vegetable. I'm not talking of sweet potato. I'm talking of what we normally call Irish potato. Irish potato can be grown in the tropics. Although I must say that sweet potato has many more health advantages than Irish potato. Even the leaves of Irish potato can be eaten. Just like sweet potato, it can also be grown from the tuber. In fact, if you leave the tuber in your kitchen for some time, you will see it already germinating and sprouting at different points where there are pods, where there are what we call the eyes or buds, B-U-D-S. It can be grown the same way as sweet potato is grown from the tuber. As I've said, the leaves of Irish potato can be eaten. The protein content in Irish potato leaves is in fact double that of the tuber. So we should not just discard it. Can somebody display the plant Irish potato there? The scientific name is Solanum. Solanum, S-O-L-A-N-U-M.
Which one is that, sir? Is that the Irish?
Irish. I've been speaking about Irish.
Yeah.
We have already done sweet potato, haven't we?
Yeah, we did it earlier.
Solanum tuberosum. S-O-L-A-N-U-M. Then the second name is tuberosum. T-U-B-E-R-O-S-U-M. Solanum tuberosum. The meaning of that is it's a solanum plant that produces a tuber. Incidentally, this is the same family in the same family as tomato, as chili pepper, as tobacco, as garden eggplant. All of them are of that same family, Solanaceae. Yeah, you can see the leaves on top. Those leaves are very rich in protein. Now the tubers, if you cook the tubers and you eat the tubers with the covering, not discarding the covering, you can use that food to heal hemorrhoids, piles. The covering has phytochemicals that shrink piles. Please note that all these vegetables we are describing have detailed properties that make every one of them medicinal for the body. You can see the flower. The flower is of the same shape as the flower of pepper, the flower of tomatoes, the flower of tobacco, and that family is called Solanaceae. Most of the species in this Solanaceae have got some narcotic substances in them. So they can affect the nervous system, they can affect the brain slightly. So they are medicinal, they can reduce pain. But there are some species that are not advised for eating because the concentration of the narcotics is very high. Things like opium. Thank you for bringing the flowers out. Now they look like garden eggs, you know. All right, let's continue. Now let's do garden eggs themselves. Eggplant. The scientific name for eggplant is Solanum melongena. Solanum melongena. Melongena. Now, Solanum melongena yields a fruit which is well known in the tropics and is used in many kinds of ways, many dishes. Incidentally, the leaves can also be eaten in soups and stews. There are many varieties of eggplant. There are some which are whitish. There are some which are a bit greenish. There are aubergines that are huge and very colorful, pink. There are some species whose leaves are actually very, very palatable in some areas. Thank you for that. This is the normal garden egg, very popular. It is used in many stews. Incidentally, if you eat some of this raw, the phytochemicals in them are very good for chest disorders, disorders in the lungs. Generally also, the edible ones are good for cancer. They are anti-cancer. Yeah, this is another good variety with the green stripes. This one is slightly bitter. Then there's a pure green one, which is very bitter, but the leaves are very palatable. Yeah. There is one which is called Solanum torvum. Solanum torvum, Torvum. That one is very, very powerful for mental diseases, nervous diseases. Solanum torvum. In fact, Solanum torvum is spiny. It has got some spines on the stem. And the fruits are smaller, very small, small green fruits. There we are. In fact, this one can even grow wild, but it can also be cultivated. Those fruits are very medicinal. What we are doing are just introductions. You can do more research on each one of them and find how to adapt them to the garden. Fortunately, most members of this Solanaceae family are easy to grow. Are there any questions so far on those things we have treated today? Hello?
Please unmute and speak if you have questions.
Yeah.
Uncle, there is no question for now.
Okay.
It's amazing that we have all these potatoes, and garden egg.
Mm-hmm.
And even though they will ask us to eat it, because we were ignorant of the benefits.
Yeah. The benefits are very, in fact, if you go and Google and you see the benefits, you will appreciate God very much. It's amazing. Many diseases can be prevented by eating just these vegetables.
This is, I'm just very excited about our August meeting.
Sure.
Because the knowledge is going to, because people are coming from over 14 countries.
Amen.
Okolo is here, is connected to, so he's having a foretaste of what we are going to be discussing in Senegal.
Okay.
Okolo, can you unmute and say hello, sir?
Hello, Uncle. Hello, everyone. God bless you all.
Uche, how are you?
Yes, sir. I'm doing fine, sir. God
Good
bless
to
you,
hear
sir.
your voice.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Where are you speaking from right now?
I'm speaking from Kenema in Sierra Leone, sir.
Wow. There's a friend of mine there who should be joining this group because he's a very influential person in development. Pastor
Okay,
Reverend
sir.
Jambawe. Have you heard his name
Okay.
before? Jambawe? No.
No, sir. Maybe
He's
I've not heard his name, sir.
okay, he's a Methodist minister, Musa Jambawe. I can send his number to you later.
Okay, sir.
Mm.
That'll be fine, sir.
Is that the
Then
one who was on our staff?
Which staff?
Yes, your staff.
Yeah, Jambawe.
Yes, there's a Musa Jambawai
Yes.
from Sierra Leone.
Yes, and then he worked with me in Rukon in Jos.
Oh, okay. Mhm. No, I remember the name, but I can't place the face.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there was another younger Musa with SU in Sierra Leone.
Aha, okay. But it seems to be the same surname, though.
Yeah, the same surname. Okay, next week we are going to deal with fruit trees. Fruit trees. And then if we are able to finish that, we will now go to how to raise some small animals. Because the formula we are considering is mixed farming. We need to raise both animals and crops. So if there are no other questions or comments, we will call it a day for today. Please, let's invite more people to participate. We want this thing to affect Africa particularly and other tropical countries. It seems nobody came from Uganda today.
They texted me that they are joining. I don't know why maybe they missed the time.
No, it's the same time we have been using. Anyway.
I think we will put countries and time in the next week information so that people will know.
Okay. All right, you people have a good weekend.
Thank you, sir.
God bless
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, Baba.
The Lord bless you, Ishola.
Yes, sir.
We meet on Friday.
Good evening, sirs. Hello, sir. This is Omato Shaw. Maybe it has ended.
So it's every Thursday.
It's every Thursday night.
Okay. Mind you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Okay. If you pray.
You have to log out.